there was a book out saying that John didn't come to rehearsals and he handed the whole thing over to Victor Spinetti. Not true. He came to rehearsals and everybody was he was wonderful. And Laurence Olivier said, I'd like to meet with Johnny Lennon. Never really met with him. And organised a meeting, and he and Yoke turned up. And Olivier said to John, now then, my dear Johnny. And John said, I haven't been called Johnny since I was at school. And he didn't hear that shot across the bows. He said, now then, my dear Johnny. He said, if this play that you have written with Dear Baby here, if it is made into a film, I have to tell you here and now. If it is made into a film, I must tell you here and now, my dear Johnny, if it is made into a film and you know nothing at all about the theatre, I must tell you, my dear Johnny, if it is made into a film, the theatre will own 60% of the film rights. And John didn't move. He said, don't you have people that you pay who talk about these kind of things, who can talk to the people that I pay who talk about these kind of things? And Olivia was furious. When they left, he said, well, they looked like a ridiculous pair. I can't tell one from what is it. And what is this line here? I wandered humbly as a sock. And I said, well, it's John's version of I wandered lonely as a cloud. He said, are you telling me that the Beatles has heard of Wordsworth? Because in the beginning, when we first started, they were considered louts, long-haired gits. They were really, I mean, and the questions that one was asked at that time, what are they like? I mean, what is what to talk about? How do you talk to these people? And I said, well, we were on the set of Hard Day's Night the other day, waiting for the lights and change, and we talked about things like, I wonder, George Harrison, I wonder what music Beethoven wrote for himself rather than for his patron. Or we were talking about the Freudian interpretation of dreams as opposed to the Jungian interpretation of dreams. And that shook those bastards. What can they talk about, those long-haired kids? We talked about everything. These were people that were real and curious. They wanted to know things. And I'm here today, apart from my friend Nick Winkle's I said, come on, you've got to come. And the other thing is, I'm here to celebrate the fact that although all these things are around, are marvelous souvenirs and things to remind you of them, please don't forget, it's the greatest rock band ever. Ever. Get passionate about it because there's not another. The others are okay, but these people, I'll tell you why. They built a great reservoir of melody and poetry which we're still drawing on today. Amen, because there's no hate in any of their music. I said to John once, what's your best lyric, John? He said, that's easy, Vic. All you need is love. Remember that. That's your birthright. That's because you're Beatle fans, you're Beatle lovers. That's very important, very important. Anyway, I speak from passion. I don't speak from intellectual, I speak from passion. Okay, sorry, shut up, Vic.
No, it's your day. You speak as long as you want. So, Hard Day's Night, I bet you had a lot of fun making that film.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you see, it was George, who said you got to be in our film. He said you got to be in all our films, otherwise me mum wouldn't come and see him because she fancies you. And that's why I was in films originally, and of course they saw me in the show, and Love You All. And that's how it started. But we had no idea when we did Hard Day's Night. It was, I tell you the extraordinary thing. My sister got engaged during the making of that film. And I said, I'm leaving early because my sister's coming up from Wales with a fiancé, and I've arranged a weekend in London as an engagement present. I said, go to the theatre, going to stay in a hotel. I said, things they won't be doing once they've settled down and have kids. Great, they said, marvellous idea. Well, I told them where we were going, but I couldn't dream of it. They all turned up. Now, in those days, they couldn't really go very far. They all came and said, we've come to have a dance with you, Janine, for your engagement. And my sister was very cool, and she danced with them. And when they left, she went, ah! But they did that, you see. The humanity was there. It's there in their music, it's there in their lyrics. So don't give money to those bastards who sing about hate and killing, because that's nothing to do with the Beatles. Nothing.
Do you think that the combination of those four young lads as they were then, and Richard Lester, was a fantastic combination?
Very good, yeah, absolutely marvellous.
Do you think that helped? I mean, Hard Day's Night is like a legendary film, it's like a cult film, it's everything else that they always describe films to be.
Right, well, of course, the next film, Help, was a little different because there was a lot of money involved. And suddenly, what happened was we arrived in the Bahamas, in Nassau, and we got off the plane, and we were all standing in this shed, and this car came, vroom, took the Beatles away, and then the car came, vroom, took the director away, and the directors, because at that time, you see, then the car came and took the producer away, vroom, and so all these people now wanted to be involved, so they had to bring their wives, their aunts, their cousins, so every car was full of a director with their families, right? And then finally this old bus turned up, with no windows, and me and Roy Kinnear, and what was his name, the guy who played the... Anyway, the three of us. Patrick Cargill, yeah. Three of us got on this rackety old bus, and then we had to wait for the camera crew because they had to get in as well. We were the last one. Then we got to this hotel, and we all had to share a room because all our rooms had been taken by the families. But not the Beatles, I mean the people. So then I said I played hell. I bloody played hell. I said, listen, you bastards, we're going to be up in the morning to go to work, right? We're not here on holiday to sit by the pool and say, there's John Lennon, or there's, we're there to work with them. So I rang up my agent in London and said, I'm pissing off and I'm not stopping here. So the call went through to the high office, and suddenly a big limo arrived, and Roy, myself, and Patrick were all taken to the hotel and put up properly. And of course the Beatles didn't know about this, but they did when I told them. In fact, they loved it because, you see, we were there to work. But when we were on that boat, the first shot of that film ever, was I'm coming out of the cabin, there's sand in the generator, and Roy's there, and Ringo's strapped to this board, and I'm about to go and cut his finger off to get the ring, right? And as suddenly Eleanor Bron turns up, and frees, well, he's not the film, but Ringo then dives from the yacht, into the water. Well, there were shark nets all around, and there were people looking out for sharks, swim at frogmen waiting. It was cold, the water's always good, the Atlantic. No, it wasn't, yeah, it was. Yeah. And so Ringo, they all got him out and got him on this on boat and put him back on the yacht, and he stood there shivering like this, and then they got the hair dryers, and then they changed his clothes, and then they said, and the camera crew and Dick were on the yacht, like as far away as the end of this room, right? Further even. Right, action! And he said, we'll have to go again. He said, action! No, he didn't say that, not then. Action! He went, got me, went, in the water again. Then they dragged him out, all wet, dripping, and he sat there, and he said, do I have to do it again, Mick? I said, why? He said, well, I can't swim. That would have been the end of the Beatles, of that group. So I said, why didn't you say? He said, well, when the director shouts action, you have to do it, you know. So I shouted, he can't swim! Well, I could see them turning white from the distance where I was. I said, okay, won't do anymore, because he could have gone at that moment. He just went, and we had to, the thing is, we were miles off coast, you see, because on the land there were all these people screaming and shouting. And so they couldn't come close. We had to go